Hi, everybody. Welcome to Reserve Seating, your conduit to Hollywood. We are joined by Margo Donohue and Sonia Mansfield.
Wait, is
Our,
that our new thing?
we are
Do
sending
it live.
showbiz into your homes once a week.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
We're on the ground, taking notes, finding out what's going on with movies from 1988, and reciprocating that back to you. We are joined by two of our very favorite people, Sonia and Margo from the Dorking Out podcast and the What a Creep podcast, and many other great stuff on the internet. Before we get into it, can you tell everybody where we can find you on the internet?
You can find me at thesoniashow.com and the Sonia Show on Blue Sky and Instagram and the TikTok. How about you, Margot?
You can find me at brooklynfitchick.com. I'm at Brooklyn Fit Chick for Threads and Instagram, and I'm at Brooklyn Margot for Blue Sky and the TikTok.
So, Willow, Ron Howard's movie from 1988. It came out after he did Gung Ho and Cocoon and before Parenthood and Backdraft. One thing I'll give Ron Howard credit for is he's very eclectic.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
a director who can certainly, he's a journeyman type that can make anything.
I mean, he is the journeyman, right? I mean, in terms of A-list directors, is there a more journeyman A-list director than Ron Howard? It is kind of the definition of his career, right?
He takes
Right,
a lot of
right.
chances.
I should mention that we are celebrating Junesploitation,
Yes.
and this is day 5. This is Magic Day, so I picked Willow for us because Willow's an old favorite of mine, but
Mhm.
I don't know what the rest of you think of Willow. So, Margo, why don't we start with you? I know that this is kind of like a naughty plot, sort of like in terms of just our previous discussion before we started rolling. But what's your history with Willow? What do you think of the movie?
I love Val Kilmer. So I was at a time in my life, like I was a completist with Val Kilmer. I would see anything that he was in. I'm not great with fantasy. I can watch, I'm famous. I can watch the Lord of the Rings movies and enjoy the hell out of them and have no idea what happened. Couldn't tell you anybody. So, I find this movie a little tough sometimes because I don't know exactly everything that's going
Mhm.
on. But I find the Kilmer of it when he's there, he's super charming,
Yeah.
and Warwick Davis is incredible. And he was 17 when he made this movie. So I saw it in 88 for sure. I've seen it a couple of times since then. I think this is like the fourth or fifth time I've seen the movie, which was last night. And I still don't know what I'm watching.
This was one of the first times I really noticed how derivative it was, not just of Lord of the Rings, but also just Star Wars,
Star
which is
Wars.
Yeah.
interesting because
Yes.
it's George Lucas's thumb is kind of all over this movie.
It's like, I have a
Um,
new idea. And it's like,
Mm.
yeah, he
Yeah.
just transposes everything from sci-fi opera to
yeah.
high fantasy.
I saw this in the theater immediately when it came out because I like these kinds of movies and I like fantasy movies and the George Lucas of it all because I was forever searching for that, chasing that Star Wars dragon and hoping to get that sort of high again, I
Mhm.
guess. And I still like it. I think at the time, even then I was like, this is kind of like Star Wars, but I was fine with it. I didn't like the brownies. I still don't like the brownies.
Yeah.
They're
Um,
terrible.
I have a lower tolerance for babies in danger now than I used to. It used back in the day, I was like, that's fine. The baby can just cry the whole time. But now I'm like, please, someone take care of that adorable baby. I still think the movie's super fun and probably great for younger kids who maybe can't watch Lord of the Rings because it's too dark or it's too dense. And
Mhm.
this is very accessible.
Yeah.
And I think Val Kilmer is very, very charming. And yeah, I think it's good.
So two things. Babies in Danger is a great name for a band.
Babies in Danger, is it babies Babies or Baby apostrophe S?
I
I
mean,
like
either
I like
way, I'm buying the merch.
I like
Yeah.
I like the apostrophe because the apostrophe will help your SEO. You know, they got to add that extra detail, so you really will. It'll push traffic your way. So I like babies in danger, as in the baby is in danger.
It
Hmm.
sounds like something Jonathan Demme would feature in a movie.
Yeah.
Like that would be the band playing in the background.
we did Willow for at this movie fest a couple years back, so I was just reflecting on that, and Willow is not one of my movies. And it doesn't mean I don't like it. It doesn't mean I don't think it's fun, as Sonia said. I just feel like it's the kind of movie where if you love it, you loved it when you were 10. I think, as we discussed, it's got roots in other things. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, though. I do find that, like, when I think about fantasy, when I think about sci-fi, I like genre. I like genre movies, but especially stories like these. Star Wars isn't really about like the rebellion against fascism. That's what Andor's about. Andor rules. Um,
Rules.
it's about
Totally.
it's about a kid who wants to leave home. It's an anxious teenager who's ready to leave home. You know what I mean? Like, for me with Willow, I can't make that same human connection because I understand Willow wants to harness magic, but I don't always understand why, because like his life seems great except for that one asshole who keeps bothering him about his land.
Hmm.
So when it comes to like some of those little like more relatable, more universal character things, I do find Willow lacking. But as you guys both said before, if it's your starter Lord of the Rings, it's totally fine. It's totally good. And Val Kilmer playing Captain Jack Sparrow, is good. It's a really, really watchable, really fun movie. I'm just never gonna love it because the things that catch me in how convoluted it is, as you said before, the fact that it's trying to touch on every single fantasy trope and archetype like a checklist without some of the underlying humanity, it does get to me as an adult. But if I showed this to my 10-year-old, I'm sure he would really enjoy it.
Yeah, this was my starter fantasy movie, really. Like I was 6. This was my first Val Kilmer movie. I think I knew we probably had like Top Gun on in the background on video, but I wasn't really paying attention at the time. But yeah, just like this was Lord of the Rings, this was Star Wars before Lord of the Rings and Star Wars for me, and I just loved the adventure of it. The music by James Horner is amazing.
Mhm.
I feel like now, this was the most critical I was ever of Willow on a viewing.
Hmm.
I think the pacing's not great,
Hmm. It's
and I
slow.
think that the movie has an amazing climax with the trolls and the storming the castle and the two-headed dragon,
Really
and
fun.
then it kind of stops, and then it picks up again for like a wizard duel, which could have all been in the same sequence.
And it's also
Yes.
like it's a wizard duel where like neither of our main characters are involved. You know what I mean? Like it's not.
Yeah.
It's one of the. It's just
Yeah.
again, it wants to be every fantasy movie. Which again, if it's starter fantasy, that's great. That's fine. I'm not really criticizing it for that. But
Yeah.
also a movie for kids that's like what 2 hours and 8 minutes long or something like that. Like there's and not to be that guy, but there's a 90-minute movie in here that
Hmm.
For
really.
sure,
That
because
kills.
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
lose the baby like 3 times,
Sonia's
and
really fixated on the baby. She's
I
really,
am.
really
Yes.
Well,
Well, she's
and
a mom, and
I texted y'all. I was like, "That's the
yeah.
cutest baby I've ever seen," and
Yeah.
I'm a mom, so I clearly only
Yeah.
have. I gave birth to the second cutest baby. That baby is the cutest baby, actually played by twins. So now my son is the third
Oh, you're just
cutest.
don't tell him. You're just knocking him down here.
He's not going to watch this, but
Rob can edit. It's okay.
the other thing that didn't hold up for me as well this time is the Joanna Wally. Did I
her
pronounce her name right?
character.
Yeah, she's this badass warrior, and here comes Mad Mardigan with a few pretty words, and she's like, "Yeah, I'll just screw over my mom and throw it all away for this guy." And I get it because it's
Her
Val
mom sucks
Kilmer.
though, and it's Val
Yeah, her
Kilmer.
mom
Yeah.
does suck, and it is Val Kilmer. So I'm like, I kind of get it, but
We're probably really pissing a lot of people off. So let's talk something nice about Willow. Let's say something we love.
Oh no, the
I love
nerds are going to come
Willow.
get us.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll take the floor real quick
Go
because I
ahead.
love Willow. I think Warwick Davis is such like a find because
Movie
he's
star.
really the heart and soul of this movie, and without him, it doesn't work. Like as much as we're
Uh-huh.
talking about Val Kilmer, like I immediately think of Warwick Davis
You
as
have
this
to.
is kind of like a if it wasn't for Leprechaun, this is kind of like his legacy movie. There's something to be said for me about high fantasy. I like when fantasy isn't too inside baseball, like
yes.
where they dole it out in just the right amount, like at a time where okay, the start of the movies may be slow, but it also like gives you time to soak in the stakes without it just being kind of like a drive-through. Like they say like, okay, these are all the players, these are the stakes of everything. There's a lot of signifiers, so it's like, okay, I get it. Like the evil witch has horns on her helmet, and like the second in command has Skeletor mask and everything like that.
Mhm.
So I like the simplicity of it, and I think it's a lot of fun. I do have two questions. One, Margo, I'll start with you for this one. Who's a hotter couple, Val Kilmer and Joanne Whalley in this movie, or Elias Koteas and Judith Hoag in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
I never seen the other one, so I'm going to go with Kilmer and
Okay.
the Kilmers.
Yeah.
They're smoking hot people, by the
They're
way. Like,
they're smoking hot, and she's so
yeah.
angry, and it's such a turn on. It's the best thing.
And you've seen his documentary, of course, right? I mean,
I
he had a
haven't. Oh,
crush
oh,
on
Val, yeah, yeah.
Val's had a
Okay,
crush on her for years. Like he
yeah,
went to see her in London, and he was so nervous that he got tongue tied. He was around her, and then like 4 years later, he's in a movie with her, and that's how
yeah.
they met. So it's a great romance story.
She's the type of lady in this movie where, like, she kicks him in the face, and he's just like, "Oh, she's so awesome." Sonia, for you, what is your take on magic in movies or magic in general? Are you a fan of magic as kind of a trope being used in a movie?
Oh.
She loves magicians.
No, no, that's not what he asked me. I like it in movies, absolutely. Like I think it's super fun. It doesn't have to make sense. I do like it. What Margot's getting at is how I don't like to be around magicians.
I
So
get
like
that.
so like if a grown man comes up to me and he's like pick a card, I meet like run away. True story. Friends tried to set me up on a date with someone who turned out to be a magician and I was so angry. None of that is in Willow.
Do you have a delineation between sorcerer magician and illusionist magician?
I don't. Should I?
Okay. I think I do. Like in
Oh,
movies,
okay.
I think I'm all in on sorcerer magician. But when it comes to like Now You See Me and his name is Daniel Atlas and I have to like
Oh,
think he's
yeah,
cool,
yeah.
no, I'm
Okay.
not on board with that.
See, I
I'm
don't I would prefer like Willow that over Now You See Me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was thinking of the movie Magic. Anthony Hopkins with
Mhm.
yeah, the
yeah,
dummy.
with the
Yeah,
puppet.
that's a good one.
I
Yeah.
like that movie.
Can I tell a couple Willow stories and one magician story real
I
quick?
can't wait.
Please.
So the magician story, this is just for you, Sonia. You would be really proud of my grandfather. We were at a family restaurant. I was a teenager. It was me and my sister and my parents and my grandpa. And there was a magician who just walked around on Sundays and would like do magic for the different tables. And he gets to our table, and the youngest person at the table is maybe like 15, 16 years old. It was me. And my grandpa just goes, "What makes you think any of us wants to see magic?"
I would sit next to your grandpa. I
We
would
were
feel so
so
safe.
we were like so equally feeling terrible for the magician and also like
Grateful.
he really nipped that in the bud. And then also real quick, I've bled for Willow because I was at a party in first grade. It was my friend's sixth birthday. And I ran into a wall at McDonald's and busted my head open and had to get
Oh,
stitches. And on my way home as a make good, feel better gift, I got Willow action figures and I got a Willow magic trick that was in a Captain Crunch box. And it was a coin thing, a coin holder where like you put it in, you slide it, the coin's there, you slide it again, the coin's gone. And I lost it at Baskin Robbins. Let's start with you, Sonia, on this one. Do you have like a top two or three Ron Howard movies?
Oh, I love well, we just did an episode coincidentally over on Dorking Out about Apollo 13.
Nice.
I love
Yeah.
Apollo
we
13.
both, yeah, we love that.
I have the softest spot for Parenthood,
Hmm.
a movie that I seem to love more every time I watch it. And then, oh my God, I will have to pull up Ron Howard's filmography to pick a third.
Mhm.
I probably Splash.
That's a
Mm.
really good choice. Yeah. Margot, how about you?
Yeah, similar. It's Splash for sure, but then I'm thinking of the one he did with Henry Winkler and their Michael
Oh,
Keaton.
Night
Is it
Shift.
Night Shift?
Night Shift.
Yeah.
That's a really fun movie. If you haven't
Yeah.
seen that, it's a fun sex comedy. Ron Howard, and it's like New York when it was
And
really
Shelley
grungy.
Long,
It's got
national
Shelley Long.
treasure.
Mm.
Shelley Long.
Are there
Yep.
any babies in danger in that movie?
Rob, do you have a top three Ron
I mean,
Howards?
it's Apollo 13 by a country mile. I don't even. It's like
Yeah,
I mean, I like other movies. I've never seen Night Shift, which you're reminding me that
I
really.
need to see that too. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's good.
Backdraft Rules, obviously. Like,
Yeah.
there's lots of good stuff. But to me, everything it's Apollo 13 and then everything else. I was speaking of childhood Ron Howard movies. I mean, and that's a movie that still holds up for me. But
Mhm.
I knew that movie backwards when I was a kid. That was like I knew every line of that movie. So I've seen
Which
it
one?
1,000 times. Apollo 13.
Did any of you watch the Willow Disney Plus series?
No.
I didn't either. And then they took it down for a tax write-off.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's
that's
Yeah.
sad. It probably had fans.
I feel like they should have done a Willow animated series. Like, I think that that could have worked really well.
A
Like,
Saturday morning
yeah.
Willow animated series, like 30 minutes.
And you
Hmm.
know, Warwick Davis would have done. I mean, he did those Ewok movies. You know, like that was like
Yeah.
prime time for him. Like he could have done the voice. You know, like that. Yeah, I agree.
I watched the pilot of the Free Willy animated series not too long ago, and Willy talks, and they reveal it like when they switch over from Russian to English in Hunt for Red October. And Jesse's just like, Willy, you can talk, and he's just like, I've been talking to you all
Oh,
along.
Is
like,
that how he sounds?
Yeah, pretty much. He sounds basically just like an affable, like open mic, like host at a comedy club. And there's an evil guy who's half machine and half man, and he lives under the sea and he's threatening all the fish. Anything else on Willow?
I don't know that I'll watch it again, but like I don't begrudge anybody for their nostalgia for it, and it's great starter fantasy.
Yes, I
Better
concur.
Willow the movie, or this is for Rob, or Willow and Allison Hannigan on Buffy?
I mean, that's not fair. Obviously, it's Alan Hannigan. I mean,
I would pick Willow from Buffy too.
yeah.
Okay. So, Sonia, Margo, thank you so much for joining us. This
Always a good
was a
time.
blast. It always is. This was always a blast.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us. It was
Of
so
course.
fun.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And keep us posted on what you're watching for June exploitation.
Mhm.
Well, I watched Willow.
So we're going to be back next week. We're doing kind of an inversion of Cartoons Day. We're talking about live action film adaptations of
Of cartoon.
properties that were cartoons at one point. So we're talking about George of the Jungle and Dennis the Menace.
Wow.
So until next time.
These seats have a little stick wand that's kind of twirly at the top.
What?
That was my worst one ever. That was
Wow.